It appears we have started. First off, I'd like to apologize, I'm like 15 minutes late. I have my reasons, those reasons being I was slow and the startup setup took longer than I expected. But it's done now, I am here now. Hey look, I am at 102 subscribers and 102 videos. That's kinda cool. Glad I got that before it was over. Heyo, here, there, here. Hello, been a while. Indeed. I really wanted to get back to streaming because, as you just mentioned, it's been a while and I miss it. Oh wow, it's almost been a month. Whoops. What was I thinking of doing? Sharing. That's the stuff. One sub a video, imagine that. Would be kinda nice. Also, yay, the chat box is working. Always glad to see it. You love to see it. It's not like it consistently fails, but I'd rather it not fail. It's always something to celebrate when it doesn't. Yeah, man. Had a fun semi-break. The break is technically still ongoing, but yeah. Can't necessarily say that staying away from the streaming has been fun because a lot of it was just me grinding a lot and working a lot, like significant amount. Working very hard on getting the videos edited for the Kingdom Hearts stuff and the Among Us stuff, and also working hard on the things for the newly recorded Kingdom Hearts stuff. Can't wait to show that stuff. Because I've been working so hard on it, I can't wait to show it to the world. Oh wow, tomorrow it will really have been a month since the last stream. That's crazy. But things are progressing steadily. Well, you definitely have my attention, that's good. Can definitely say that I don't have many people's attention. But if I have yours, then that's good enough. I've been watching a lot of Xander while you were gone. He's a fun... yeah. He's pretty good. I haven't been watching his streams a lot because I just generally don't watch a lot of streams. And I've been busy. It's hard to watch a stream when you need your phone and your computer for what you're doing and you don't have all the extra resources to spare to keep it open in the background. So I don't watch a lot of streams. I used to last year, well, not a lot, but I watched a few. But I've barely been getting around to watching any streams lately. Oh man, I don't have the thumbnail for this video on my phone, so I can't post that on the posts. Well, that's that then. Too bad. Of course, you're my friend. My attention is always upon my friends and me. Sounds a bit cheesy, but is your... is really... I am very much confused. I don't know if the message is being cut off by this thing at the side again. Wait, I can probably read it there. course you're my friend. My attention is always upon my friends, and sounds a bit cheesy, but it's true. Oh, okay, that makes sense. How do I read it right when I read it in the box on the side? That's just weird. Anyway, moving on. Let's share it on Insta, and then we move on to the game. Crumbling Sanity. If you're talking about the stupid heart thing, then yeah. I wish they would finally get rid of it. I am absolutely talking about the stupid heart thing. Based upon that, I'm assuming that you are also a streamer. Welcome to the stream, Crumbling Sanity. Okay, so I'm assuming you're Xander, maybe? Or are you someone from Lumen Streams? Completely new. Well, that's curious, considering the greeting towards phobia, but okay. Welcome. We'll be getting started in just a moment. I'm just sending the link to one last place and then grabbing the Discord, and we're ready to go. Alright, let's get the game started up while we wait. I almost thought I forgot my controller, but then I remembered it's getting over it. You don't need a controller. Alright. Game launching. And now I can have a proper look at my chat. Oh, I thought you knew me. The greeting confused me. Well, good to meet you anyway. Likewise. Well, welcome to the stream, Crumbling Sanity. Hope you enjoy your stay. That was not how I expected that to go. Gotta get back into the swing of things again. Let's just hope I don't fall. Wait. Let's just make sure. Apply. Let's just hope I don't fall back to phase 1. Because this is kind of a bad place to start up again and get back into the swing of things. Ooh. And that is part of why. Is the person there gone, or just I'm too far to see them? Okay, I was just too far to see them. I haven't streamed in almost a month. But it's primarily because I've been busy working on stuff for a video series I'm busy with. And it's also because I just sometimes think I want to stream today, but when the time comes around, I just don't feel like it. So I'm like, okay, probably best to not stream because I'm gonna mess it up. Hello, Sam. How are you? I wonder, that would have been kind of funny if you could like catch him and grab him down. Fun name, by the way. I myself have a crumbling sanity, haha. Well, if it's happening, you'll be sure to see me. I sure will. Ooh, interesting. I am stupid, I forgot to switch to the game. Thank goodness I can look at my phone and check things. Silly me. I wanted to just start up the game before moving on, but I got distracted and just started playing the game. Typical ghosty moment, I suppose. Good first experience. Whoa, I like that, thank you. That was not at all an intended thing, but hey, I'm there for it. I thought I remembered this game. No, do not.
No.
Come on. There we go. Okay. You come back after all months and you load one of the most infuriating games known to man. I can respect that. Yeah, it's just a chill stream today, so you know. I'm playing this. It's a nice game to play now and then for just a chill stream where you don't have to play through some story or whatever. You can just hang around with your chat, talk, have a nice time. That's at least the way it is for me. Like, this is my chill streaming game. So what are you up to? And how do you come across this channel? Oh no. That was almost not good.
Oh.
I feel like the control is a bit looser than I remember. Settle down. There we go. I'm planning to get back to more constant streaming sometime within the next month or two. I plan to return with the first Devil May Cry game. Why do I keep launching myself? That's weird. I don't remember it being that sensitive. I really need to readjust to this because it's not at all like I remember. Found my chat scrolling through the VTuber section. I show up there? Wow, my voice just went high. I didn't know I show up on the VTuber section. That's kind of surprising. Now that is something you don't hear every day. I love DMC and I never saw the first game. You haven't seen the first game? Oh, you mean, do you mean in stores? Or just you haven't seen anything about it really? Huh, I did not know that I would appear in that section though. That's kind of interesting, kind of cool. I don't mind that. But yeah, in terms of this game, I don't really find it that frustrating. The most frustrating thing about it to me is just how tired it makes my arms, so I can't play it for long periods of time. Especially if I fall back to what I refer to as Phase 1 and Phase 2. Well, that's interesting. The hammer moves in different directions if you just keep your mouse still midair. That's... Oh, so is that why you can't move it when you're falling down? That would actually explain some things. My first experience with DMC was DMC3, the special edition, and that was about it. Oh, okay, I see. So did you play it on the PlayStation 2, or did you play it at a later date? Okay, well, you say it's a special edition, so I'm assuming that means it was one of the re-releases then. I think my longest stream ever so far was my first Getting Over It stream. And that had to be cut short because my arm physically couldn't go on anymore.
No.
I played it on the PlayStation 2. Oh, okay. Do you have any current consoles or a PC that maybe? Or do you not really have any of those to get any of the other games on? Yeah, I'm assuming that means you couldn't find the other DMCs in stores then. I remember those days, that struggle. Back on the PlayStation 2 when you find a game and it's really fun and you want to play the earlier entries in the franchise, but no matter where you look, you just never find them in the store. This game feels very weird at the moment because it's at the same time sensitive and not too sensitive and not sensitive enough. So that's so weird feeling. I have a PC, but I haven't really touched any games thus far. Oh, okay. I see. Hope. If you do want to touch them sometime, the DMC games are all available, 1 to 5. They're all on Steam, so if you do want to play some games on your PC, they are available options to you. That is also, of course, if your computer can run them. Because I don't know what your PC specs are, and if you haven't really played any games, I'm assuming that you might not exactly know either. Unless, of course, you do use it for something like 3D animation or something, then you probably would know your specs. You could definitely run it. Oh, okay. Yeah, I heard. I think the only game that I really ever played on my PC was like Elsword and Brawlhalla. Huh. They are both free, so that makes sense. I got Elsword way back, but I never actually played it. I wanted to, but my laptop at the time couldn't run it, and I just didn't bother with it when I got the new PC. Whoa. I really am having a hard time readjusting to this control because it is, as I said, at the same time too sensitive and not sensitive enough. It's weird. Okay. Just most of the good stuff that you wouldn't want to play, like for example, that you would want to play. Like for example, I want to play Tekken 8, but that's around like 80, 70 bucks and even higher depending on your region. That's true. Also, it is garbage now. Nobody really plays the game aside from the super rich / broken players. The game's super pay to win. Ah, I see, I see. Yeah, that makes sense to me based on my previous experience with that company. Do you call it company? I don't know, the publisher, the developer, whatever, because they also made Grand Chase, and there you could literally pay $30 for a character, which just felt so much for a mobile game character. That's not gacha. And I think you physically could not obtain those characters without paying for them. Yeah, it's a company. They're called KOG. Yeah, that seems like a familiar name. Yeah, Tekken 8. It's definitely has my interest, but like with all things, A, I'm gonna have to wait for a sale, and B, considering how it is, I will not be able to run it on my PC, so I'm gonna have to get a lot of upgrades before I'd be able to play it, even if I got it. So I'm gonna hold off on Tekken 8 for probably a few years. Oh, no. Well, I'm gonna fall. Yeah, they did get rid of Grand Chase at one point, and those players ended up having to migrate to Elsword, but they eventually brought Grand Chase back. Yeah, I played the Grand Chase mobile version that came out in the time when Grand Chase was removed from PC.
Oh,
Wow, Crumbling, you're quite the active chatter. You're just like me, for real, for real. Usually, I mean. Yeah, I've been told that I'm quite chatty. Yeah, uh, we like chatty here, so it's good. So am I, kindred spirits on that regard. Awesome. Amazing. It's always great to have someone chatty here because I like having conversations. It's kind of one of the parts of the whole streaming thing I enjoy. And it's also kind of why I like getting over it to stream because you can just chill and talk to your chat, you know? You like D&D? Never played it. I have played it, but it's not something I'd play a lot. It's really hard to get a good feel for the controls again. It feels like it's stronger to the left than to the right. Like it feels like the drag's slow to the right but strong to the left. That's weird. Let's just also get rid of any obstructions here. Okay. I have seen some D&D play on stream, but not for very long. You should, it's an amazing game with roleplay and such, perfect for talkative people like us. Yeah, it does look like fun, but it looks like there's mainly a lot of preparation. Yeah, that I feel like is a thing there. I can't imagine setting up everything for like, what, 4 hours and then only having 1 hour of fun, if even that. Yeah, once that's done, it's an amazing experience that you wouldn't trade for the world. It does still seem pretty fun in the end. Well, the prep is mainly for the DM, so if you're into that, it would be better as a player. I assume since you like D&D, do you play Baldur's Gate? Good question. I don't think Phobia does, mainly because Phobia probably can't play it on anything.
what? What? What?
Alright.
What?
Okay, you have a PS4, but unfortunately... So basically you have things, but not anything that the new stuff are releasing on.
What?
It's raining outside, so if the stream randomly just ends without me saying anything, that probably means the power died, so do not panic.
What?
Oh,
What?
nice.
What? Oh. What?
That's fair. To be honest, PC definitely has a lot of upkeep. It's hard to get the new stuff now. You already have Sony talking about raising the game prices to $100 already. Yeah, that's something as well. I'm left a little dry in terms of new stuff. Yeah, same. So all three of us are in that area. The only new stuff I can play are the things that are on mobile or random indie games like Worldless. But most of the new stuff I'm completely locked off from. Well, I did not expect to do that, but I approve. Ooh, there we go. And you can't even get any of the retro games either, because they're costing so much more now as well. That's true. A lot of the retro things that re-release, even if it's not like some high-grade remake or even a high-grade remaster, are re-releasing for 60 to 70 bucks, which I feel is definitely way more than they should be releasing for. And sometimes there's like a 2 to 3 hour game releasing for that much. Alright, we're making our way up. Slow and steady. Please don't fall when I release. What did I just say? Said the gems of the world are so much rarer nowadays. They do most of them just come out unfinished or straight up unpolished beyond belief. Not to mention the microtransactions. Oh yes, don't even, yeah. No, whoa, why am I sliding? Don't slide down. Yeah, microtransactions are also a big bad. It's always nice when you can find a game, something like Lethal Company that's only 5 to 10 bucks depending on where you live. I don't know what it is across the rest of the world, but yeah, and then it can provide tons of hours of fun, especially if you have friends to play with. And it's just, it's cheap, does its job. Like, that's the kind of games we want. Games that don't cost too much, or at least justify their prices with what they provide. One thing that's ruined gaming for the longest now. It's not even fun now, it's pretty much a standard wherever you go now. Yep. And then there's stuff like battle passes, which peaked with Fortnite and just got worse ever since. That's true. This is just now companies realize they can produce, and most people will eat it up. Pretty much. The sad thing is, whenever someone introduces a new system like that and it works really well and pulls in a lot of money, then all the big companies are gonna start using that system. Oh no, 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 don't pull up like that. Pull in. Don't fall when I release. Okay, cool. We're almost there. There we go. Okay, so we made it back to phase 4. Now the question is, can I clear phase 5? Well, I need to clear phase 4 first before I ask that question. But that is still a question for today's stream. No reason for them to put in any hard work anymore. The only battle passes that are actually good come from Fortnite, and if a half building, half shooting game is at its peak, then we are messed up. We're doomed. People just rush on the hype train, not realizing the train can't keep their weight up. I don't even see the point in getting hype for anything anymore. On the one hand, I understand where you're coming from. On the other hand, there are some games that I'm somewhat excited for. Though most of them are games that the majority of people don't even know exist, which is always a fun one. Wait, what was the question? I have no idea. What was the question? Oh yeah, I was just asking about this game, not anything to you in particular. I was just wondering, will I be able to make it farther than I ever have, or will I not? So this area I refer to as phase 4. And the farthest I've gotten was the beginning of phase 5. Everything needs to be taken with a grain of salt, and I'm running out of... Yeah. That's pretty much how the gaming industry is a lot of times these days. Unfortunately. But what can you do? You either sit around and be upset about it forever, or you just move on and accept that's the way it is. It's not gonna change. We are not gonna get the good stuff. So we just have to enjoy what we have. Alright. We just had an entire rant that spawned from something unrelated. Yeah, that tends to happen here. I mean, there was the time you and Master started a cult about acorns. That was close. When we were just talking about a game being the way that it is, having reflections and such. The tangents that can be gone on from stuff is wild sometimes. Yeah, I could try and throw the things about the acorn cult at you sometime so you can go through that, but it's gonna take a while to find it. That must have been pretty wild. It was. I just sat there watching this unfold in my chat as I was playing a game with no acorns because it had no acorns, and thus the conversation started. It's wild, but it's fun. By the way, Phobia, speaking of acorns and such, there's this one game. It's set for release. I don't know when. I think it's just still being developed. I don't know if it's gonna release anywhere else, but there's this one game coming to PC called Squirrel with a Gun, where you play as a squirrel and you wreak havoc on everything, kind of like Goat Simulator. Goat Simulator. Whoa. Whoa, I was not trying to take it that far. Calm down, Hammer. Calm down. What the? Wait, is Leviathan here? Oh, I didn't even see you. Hello, Leviathan. Welcome to the stream. How are you doing today? Hello, General Kenobi. I mean, I have been in situations like that. Like I was in a Zelda stream once and we ended up talking about cereal and someone brought up some called... I have never heard of that cereal. Ooh. Don't Star Wars me. Where can I play it? 101. Goat Simulator is really cool. I tried to get someone to play that game, but they weren't interested. And it was going to be some good fun too. Yeah. I've briefly played it on mobile once, but not a lot. Whoa. Don't fall down, please. Thank you. I'm doing jolly good as usual. Life has been nice lately. That's good. Speaking of how you're doing, how's everyone else doing at the moment? Yeah, the Squirrel with a Gun game isn't out yet, but it is available on Steam. You can check out the store page there. It's just not ready yet. Not released yet. I could go to Steam and show you the trailer if you want. Let's take a quick break from here for that, if you wanna. Or I could send you a link in the Discord server after. Either way, it looks like one of those games where you just mess around and have fun. No need for anything more. Yeah, you can play that game so much before it gets old. Sort of like that one duck game. Do you mean the duck game? Do you mean Untitled Goose Game, or is there another duck game that I don't know about? Okay, back to the start of Phase 5. Unfortunately, I can't run. Oh, well, back down to Phase 3. Well, yeah, Phase 3. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't run Palworld on my PC, so I have not yet played it. I would like to give it a shot, but unfortunately, it's just not an option for me. My GPU cannot handle it. Yeah, unfortunately, it's only on Steam. I don't know if it's gonna release on anything other than PC. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, Leviathan, your new profile picture is from Disgaea. That's cool. No, the game is literally called Squirrel with a Gun. It's a game on Steam that's gonna release. Maybe they've changed the name, but last time I checked it was just called Squirrel with a Gun. It's a new game that's coming out soon. Yeah, I've seen that people are enjoying it, which is good, you know?
No.
The way I see it, no matter what your opinion is on the game, if people are enjoying it, that's good. Everyone needs to have something fun. And if this is the fun they get at the moment, then that's very nice. I approve of it. There's a fly in my room at the moment. Don't know how or when it got here, but it hasn't been bothering... Oh, look, it's orange. Hasn't been bothering me up until just a moment ago. Squirrel with a gun. That's just me on a daily basis. The Feast from Disgaea, my favorite class. I don't really have a favorite class in Disgaea. But instead of gun, it's an acorn blade. Well, this dude's head just went all around. Gotta go, BRB. Enjoy what you gotta do, Phobia, and good luck with it if it's not something you will enjoy. It's funny. I always have such a hard time bringing up topics myself because ooh, back to phase 1. I always have such a hard time bringing up topics that I think about because it's like, when's a good time to start talking about this? And there just isn't a good time. I just have to start, but I always think, no, let's wait for a better time. I really gotta get better at this whole thing. Because right now we need a refreshing take on monster tamer genre. Pokemon just isn't doing that good of a job lately. That's true. Interestingly enough, some of the concepts in Palworld feel more akin to the Legends Arceus games than to the newer Pokemon that just is there. But yeah, it's kind of funny. Palworld comes out not too long after the last DLC for Scarlet and Violet, so now it's sort of just filling that void that people have because they just finished the Scarlet and Violet DLC, now what next? What do they do now? And then suddenly Palworld comes out. And now there's that to occupy them for a while. I do agree, though, that sometimes it's better to just say nothing until you have something on your mind. Because I've been in situations where I felt like I needed to say something to break the silence, and ended up saying something kind of stupid or something that didn't make sense. Yeah, that's also something that happens, but I'm more talking about sitting here with a topic in mind that I've thought about quite a bunch before the stream, but then is just sitting here and kind of waiting for the opportunity to talk about it. But the opportunity doesn't actually present itself, I just have to take it whenever I can. But I never do that, and I need to get better about that. Nice catch. So we're back up to phase. We're almost through phase 1 again, which would be good. There we go. Past phase 1, on to phase 2. Maybe? Let's not celebrate our victory too soon. Okay, now it's on to phase 2. The true wall of arm death. Most people like the direction they went with the game, but there were just so many bugs in the game, people just didn't like that. Yeah, that's something that Scarlet and Violet had going on. It's not just the bugs, it's also just that it was terribly optimized, so you lose a lot of frames for apparently no reason, considering the fact that games like Breath of the Wild run, while not perfect, better than that, and looks better as well. I haven't played any Pokemon games since X and Y, though. It's just, I like Pokemon and all, but the games themselves just aren't really my type of game. I can't even tell you how many times I've literally fallen asleep in the middle of combat on X and Y, alone. Yeah, there were some really major problems, one being save states potentially being corrupted on playthroughs and some of the character models growing super long. Oh yeah, that was also a thing. It's really good that you didn't experience those issues, because other than that, the game is pretty awesome. Those have been long patched, yep. But it's something they should have done well beforehand. Got the game around 3 months after release. I mostly play on this. Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, I was actually surprised at how terribly Scarlet and Violet launched, considering from what I heard Nintendo was issuing refunds because of how bad it was performing at launch, how terribly unoptimized it was. I wonder when we're gonna get the announcement for the next Pokemon game. Yeah, I was surprised to find it out, and it could have been misinformation, but as far as I know, they legitimately offered refunds for Scarlet and Violet because of how poorly it ran at launch, how many problems it had. Which is not something that happens often. And if Nintendo issues a refund for a game, then you know something is wrong. Scarlet and Violet has an amazing story still, and a great soundtrack. I haven't really heard much of the soundtrack, and in terms of the story, I also only have very brief context. Like I said, the games don't really capture my attention all that much. I check them out, but I don't really play them. I like the more active type of games. I haven't tried any of the new ones, but in my defense, I don't have a Switch, so even if the gameplay in general is more active, I would not know. I think the last time I've ever heard of anyone giving refunds and lowering prices of their games was with Fallout 76. I mean, Cyberpunk 2077 also did not do that well at launch, and the PlayStation 4 version of the game was even pulled from the store because it just couldn't run. Refunds were offered, all that. Okay, back to phase 4, or the entry of phase 4 again. I'm actually surprised that didn't take so long. The funny thing is, I almost don't even know how I got here. I wasn't paying a lot of attention to the game while moving through. It was sort of just autopilot at this point. I wonder if at the next Nintendo Direct we're finally gonna see something about Metroid Prime 4. Because if we don't, then it's still just a little under 5 months, I think. Then it will have been announced 7 years ago. With still nothing to show. Can you believe it's already been 7 years since then, almost? And there was a really bad moment with that game, where with some hackers that were able to infect some mods that gave them remote access to people's computers. Well, that's just horrifying. I got a question for you, Crumbling Sanity. Do you stream on Twitch or somewhere? Do you stream? Is actually what I mean to ask. Don't, okay. Just curious based on the mention of the heart and such. Wondering if you are familiar with the chat box or something. Oh, back to phase 1. Wait. Aha! Yeah, okay, so now we get to just drop directly back to phase 1, essentially. We could skip the whole intro area. That's nice. I'm familiar with the chat box because I've been on YouTube for a very long time now. Does it have the heart thing on your YouTube itself? That's interesting. I thought it was just the thing that appears on the box in OBS. So that's interesting to know. I don't really watch any live streams on YouTube on my computer. I'm making changes, but it's mostly just adding new emotes that we don't need. Oh. I actually did not know about that. I thought it was only a thing in OBS. So OBS is actually just projecting the chat box from the server then. That's interesting. From YouTube. This is why I consider this part to be phase 1, because it takes a while. As for why I don't consider the opening part to be phase 1, you can just glide through it, it's not a problem. Whoa. I'll take my leave now, see ya. Have a nice day, Leviathan. Hope you rest peacefully tonight and do well in work or whatever you do. You don't really talk about it much. Oh, and enjoy the leg eating. I'm surprised you haven't lost your mind yet, lol. Yeah. Over time, if you watch my streams, you'll come to know that it just doesn't happen with this game. When I say it's a chill stream in the title with this game, I actually genuinely mean it. I think my longest stream ever was done on this game, like about 5 hours, and there was barely any rage in it. Yeah, here, 5 hours, 22 minutes, 46 seconds, and wasn't angry or whatever. By the end, the only reason I stopped playing was because, as I mentioned, my arm got too tired from doing sections like this and the next one that I just couldn't keep going anymore. I'm, as they say, built different when it comes to this game. I have to commend you on that one, thank you very much. But yeah, if it weren't for my arm, I would have tried to go on for at least 10 hours with that other stream. But my arm just couldn't handle it after a while. Why does it sound so weird when I say arm today? Arm. My arm. There we go, phase 2. Whoosh, shoop, doop, boom. Whoa. But yeah, when I get back to streaming more often like I used to, I'm gonna do it with DMC as my first stream to really get the whole long streaming series stuff started. Getting Over It is a game you can just play once in a while because people aren't super invested in a story or anything. There's no thing that you build upon over time. It's just climbing. Your average stream tends to last about 2 to 3 hours tops. Yes. I used to stream pretty often, but then I took a break back in, was it November? Started taking a break because of some things that were happening, and I decided to embrace that break to just work on some extra things for the channel in the meantime. So that's why I've been uploading videos lately and not just streaming, because I am working on some extra things to just get the channel boosted a bit before I get too busy with the streams and don't have time for that anymore. Visual novels. What visual novels? Is there currently a trending visual novel?
Oh.
Visual novel are you talking about? Class of '09. Don't know about it. I think I've seen the name somewhere, but I don't know anything about it. I don't know if you want to play that though, because there's a lot of vulgar language and stuff that could probably get someone banned. Oh, but so far everyone's been playing it just fine. I see. Yeah, in terms of vulgar language, it's fine. I don't mind it too much, but yeah. If it's gonna be enough to get me banned, that's gonna be a problem. It's just some anime-styled visual novel that's more on the lines of a, I guess, meme game. It's not super good, but it's just a good time and might shock you a little bit. I see. Wait, is it the one with the brother and sister, or is that something else?
Uh,
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know about it, definitely. I haven't personally watched a lot of it or played it, but I have seen someone talk about the certain scene, and I've seen a lot of thumbnails of clips of people reacting to it when playing the game. But I haven't actually looked at it much. I just know that that was quite a trendy thing for a bit, that scene. And people's reactions were all over the internet. Well, that's not the barrel.
what? What?
Shoe fly. I was baffled at the things I heard. Yeah, I just saw someone mention it somewhere, I can't remember where, and then it was just like, wait, what's this? What are they talking about? So I just looked into it and was like, oh, it's this visual novel where it's a brother and sister. Ah, I see. Okay. Noted. Well, that is not something that I knew I could do. Alright. Taking a quick sip of water again. I don't know why I have to drink my water so often. It just feels like I have to. Okay, well, to be fair, it is pretty hot at the moment, but it might also just be because generally when I'm not streaming, my total hour of talking time in a day is maybe 2 hours. I don't talk a lot, generally. Yeah. Most people can survive an entire stream without drinking a lot of water. They have like a bottle and it lasts the entire stream and such. Meanwhile, I come with a glass and it's within 2 hours empty. Here we are in the first hour and already less than half of the glass is left. Less than half of the water in the glass. I actually am impressed by that. Impressed by how long the other streamers can go on without drinking the water. It is kind of crazy. The thing that always surprised me as well is that they need to be reminded to drink it. They don't do it out of their own, which sort of baffles me because it's like, doesn't your throat get dry after like an hour of talking? Never mind the past 3 that you've been talking for without taking a single sip of water. I always find that so weird. They either never drink anything or never bring food with them. I generally don't bring food with me for my streams either, but to be fair, I mostly stream like 3 hours, which generally start after either breakfast, lunch, or dinner and end before the next meal. So I eat lunch at around 6 a.m., 7 a.m. ish. I mean, breakfast at around 6 a.m., 7 a.m. ish. Lunch at 12 p.m. and then dinner at 6 p.m. And then I usually stream 1 to 2 hours after one of those meals. And then I stream for 3 hours and then make sure that I have enough time to prep stuff if needed before the next meal. Whoop, whoop. There we go. Nice. I almost threw myself off of here again. I can see why they wouldn't want to bring in food or drinks, because imagine if you knock that drink over and it gets all over your PC, and yeah, now that would not be nice, which is kind of why I feel I should get me a water bottle, because I always just have this glass that's literally sitting right between my keyboard and my PC itself, which is a hazard. So I'm always trying to be very careful to not waste it, because that's going to be a problem. So I really should get me a bottle so that doesn't happen. Jump. Are there any other game franchises other than DMC that you like? Ha. That's odd. I mean, DMC, Tekken, Street Fighter, stuff like that. I mean, I see. So you like fighting games. Ah, Sonic games, Zelda, I see. Speaking of Sonic games, Sonic Cross Shadow Generations was recently announced. I think that's going to be pretty fun. I'm interested in seeing the newly added Shadow story. I recently, and by recently I mean just a few months ago, maybe even like 1 or 2 months ago, I went back to Sonic Generations to get all of the S ranks on every stage and all of the red star rings. So it's kind of cool that I just finished that and now they're like, hey, here comes it again, but with slightly improved graphics and lighting and such, and newly added Shadow the Hedgehog content, which is like, ooh, that's kind of cool. Yeah, that's one of the things that I mentioned where it's like I want to talk about it on stream, but I don't know if the opportunity will present itself. What about that game? And I was kind of excited about it. The one bummer with the Sonic Cross Shadow Generations thing is that it probably is going to cost $70 on launch. Maybe not, but it might. It's not like I ever buy games at full price, though. Generally, I wait for them to go on sale on Steam, because Steam sales can be really nice. Generally, Sega's a bit more generous with the pricing on the games, but you never know. I mean, the Persona 3 remake, I want to say it costs a bunch, which is a thing there, but also it's a full remake, so fair enough. But yeah, generally they're a bit more reasonable with their prices, though it's not necessarily 100% consistent. When was the consensus? What was the consensus on Sonic Generations anyway? I didn't really hear much praise about the game when it had came out. I didn't hear much about when it came out, but that's because I wasn't really on the internet when it came out. Though from what I know, it is one of the top 3D Sonic games, or at least it was considered to be one of the top 3D Sonic games. So I think the general consensus are fairly good last I checked. So if you don't like 3D Sonic games, then it's probably not for you. And if you have played 3D Sonic games, there will be stages you recognize here and there. I say top 3 because while I have seen a lot of people put Adventure 1 and 2 pretty high, I feel like Adventure 1 is a bit way overpraised. I haven't actually finished it, but man, the game is just so hard to get behind to me. And it's very buggy. Very buggy. Especially with the spin dash. The spin dash just absolutely breaks the game. I actually wonder what the current consensus on the Sonic games are, because the consensus feels like it changed, the general consensus feels like it changes once every 2 to 3 years, maybe even once a year. I mean, it's a good game for sure, and I love it myself. I would definitely put it up there. Sonic Adventure 2, though, is something else. I have both, but I have yet to actually play them. It's hard, interesting. I want to start playing those on stream as well at some point, because, you know, like I said, I have them, and I have not yet played them all the way through. So I want to get to that at some point. Especially Sonic Generations 2 I want to get to at some point. But yeah. Sonic Adventure 2. Did I say Generations 2? I mean Adventure. If I did say Generations. The consensus for those games, Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, people will always praise those. It's not until you get to the games with the boost mechanic is where a lot of the hate starts. Yeah. No, people don't like the boost games. Well, some people. So the Sonic fan base is essentially divided into 3 sections. There's the 2D fans, the adventure fans, and the boost fans. I mean, for a lot of the boost games, the reaction time has a lot of lenience, and for some of them it's almost completely automated anyway, so if you fall because you reacted too slow, it gives you a worse time, but it doesn't kill you, so in a lot of cases it doesn't have that much consequence, though there are some cases where the reaction time thing does come into play. And personally, I like it. I like needing to have a good reaction time in a game. Unless it's an event where, whether you succeed or fail, the effect is now permanent for the rest of the game. So sorry, buddy, you didn't react fast enough to save that character, and now they're just dead. Well, that's unfortunate. Here's one consensus that I know for the Sonic fans that generally people seem to agree on. Sonic Forces is terrible. There are some people who don't feel that way, but I know that the vast majority does feel that way. Exactly, that's what I always thought the games would be in the near future, and it came to life with Unleashed and so on. Unleashed was pretty fun. I haven't ever finished the, so to speak, higher grade version of the game, but I did play the PS2 version of it a lot as a kid. Sonic Unleashed, I believe, was my first Sonic game. Well, first Sonic game that was actually a Sonic game. The first game with Sonic in it that I played was Sega Superstars Tennis. Sonic Forces was the shortest game I have ever seen. I mean, it's definitely not the shortest I've seen, but man, it was really short. And other than that, just not that fun to play it. A lot of it played itself. You can literally find videos where someone's playing it and they just hold the boost button throughout a level and finish the level by doing pretty much just that. With almost no additional input. The customization was kind of meh. Just felt like design your own furry sort of deal, which didn't really add much to the game. Yeah, Sonic OCs were a big thing, and they sort of incorporated that into Forces, but to a very meh extent. And yeah, didn't add much to the game. Like, personally, if I was gonna add something like that to a Sonic game, rather than have you have a wisp gun and that's the only thing that makes your character special, I prefer it if there's something where you like pick your character type, so this one's a speed one, that one's technical, this one can fly, this one's strong, yada yada, those kinds of things. That I feel would make a better thing for a create a character thing, because now your character is also special and not just a guy with a weird wisp gun. Because that's essentially how Forces' character works. It's just another guy, but with a gun. And that's what makes him so special. And he looks like an NPC. Like, that's another thing about the character customization there. You don't want to look like an NPC, you kind of want to look like a character that should be important in the story. There we go. See, that's a good idea. And funny enough, they had something like that in the adventure games, where you had different character types like Knuckles and Rouge or Big Academy. Yeah, they even did it with Sonic Heroes, where you had your speed type, your flying type, your power type. They essentially did the same thing with Sonic Riders, where you also had your 3 different types that could access different shortcuts and such. So if you had a speed character, you could grind on grind rails. If you had a flying character, there would be some areas where you have rings that you can fly through. And with power characters, you could punch through certain walls. It's a mechanic that's been used so many times in the Sonic franchise. So it's kind of weird that they're like, nah, we're just gonna give you a normal guy, but with a wisp gun. You know? Ayo, I landed on this spot again. Definitely appreciate when I land there, because then I don't have to do that extra bit to get back up here. It's not a hard bit, but you know, time saved is time saved. Yeah, it's so weird. They use the whole speed, flight, power mechanics so many times, so then why not use it for that? It feels like a perfect opportunity. And also they include that when it's like, oh, we have all these other actual known characters in the Sonic franchise, and they're sort of just gonna sit around and tell you what to do. Whereas it would have been a better route to just allow you to play as those instead. Though the point that they were going for was, you know, kind of the Sonic OC angle, which was a popular thing. I feel like I haven't seen a lot of Sonic OCs since the release of Forces, though. Which sort of makes me feel like people realize that they're the reason it started, or it became a thing in Forces, and then they're like, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe doing that leads to them making things like this. Imagine that's actually how it happened. It was just to kill down all the OC creations. Ooh, thunder. So yeah, if the stream ends randomly without me saying a thing, it means the power died. And then I don't know if you heard about that Sonic Frontiers game. Yes, I heard about Sonic Frontiers and I really want to play it. It looks pretty fun, but unfortunately, I once again don't have anything to play it on. That's sort of a common thing with game releases these days, though. Some games release, hype up a lot when they're first released, and then everyone finishes them and don't talk about them. And then there are those few that leave a lot of room for extra, so things like Baldur's Gate, where it's like it's a long game, it has a lot of different ways that things can go, so it has a lot of replayability. So that's something that sort of stays relevant for a long time, has a lot going on. But for a lot of games these days, they release, have a lot of hype. People are streaming them for a week to a month, and then suddenly it's just everyone loses interest because, you know, it was the hype game and it was a fun game. Generally, the critics and people who reviewed it agreed that it was pretty good, but then it's just like it doesn't leave much room for things to go on. So then everyone sort of just moves on to the next big hype. It also depends on the next game releases. Because if something else launches during that time, everyone moves on to that thing because that's the new hype. Well, almost fell back down. I sort of miss the old days where it was like you get a game and no matter how linear or whatever it is, it's something you play for hours at a day, put in so many hours into just that one game, and then eventually you buy the next one and enjoy that for a long time, and so it goes. But these days, the general mindset with games is sort of like, gotta get in on the new hype thing while everyone's playing it. Whoa. All good on the weather thing you were talking about. Right, and with games like Baldur's Gate, you pretty much get that little bit of extra with the mods and stuff too, so the replayability is insane. That's true. There's also Lethal Company, which I think has now also died down a bit in terms of the hype, but it's also a thing where it's like, it's just, you know, it's a game that offers a lot of replayability because the things are randomly generated. There's constantly a thing about where will the dungeon take you, what will happen in there. You don't know what's coming. That's sort of... Lethal Company is one of the places where I'd say randomly generated works well. Because with Lethal Company, it sort of works better as what it is if you don't know what's coming and where to find it. So that's something where I'd say the randomly generated formula actually works really well. But it adds a lot of replayability, and the fact that you can play it with friends also adds a lot of reason to just hang out and have fun. Yeah, back in the day, you found a good game that you enjoyed and you played it for hours and hours. Stuff like Call of Duty and a few MMOs, like RuneScape and WoW. And everyone had a good time. Now, like you mentioned, people just get a game, get excited for it, play it, finish it, say that was a great game, and they never really touch it again. Yeah, that's true. Lethal Company stuff is still going on to this day, and you get a lot of VTubers playing it on occasion with a bunch of people. Yeah, it's sort of something where it's like it's dying down a bit, but it's not irrelevant yet. Like, it's not at the height of its hype, but it's still something that people would continue to play. Sort of like Among Us. It's not at the height of its hype, but it's something people play. People would still play it, but it's not the current main hype, so not everyone is playing it anymore. I love to play some more Lethal Company with some people, but I don't have a lot of friends to play it with, so it's not something I do a lot. And even when I do, I can't really stream it, unfortunately. Because my GPU, as I mentioned, is not that great. So to play Lethal Company, I have to not use a model because it pushes my PC to the absolute limit on the GPU front. And I also have to play it with mods that disable the volumetric lighting and such. Because volumetrics take up a lot of power usage on your GPU. In case you don't know what the volumetrics are, or anyone else watching this after the fact doesn't know, volumetrics are basically like when you have... Imagine fog. Like you wake up in the morning, you see a fog out there, and the fog reads light that goes through it, so... How do I explain? Well, either way, volumetrics could basically be seen as fog and light shining through the fog, which... It's a lot of particles at all times, so it's very intensive on the system. It's how you get those fancy spotlights where you can see the light itself beaming down. Ah, that's a good one. It's kind of like when you see the sunlight shining through the clouds. That's essentially how volumetric lighting works. Yeah, the Lethal Company's... yeah, playing the game solo doesn't seem like that too much fun. I can get that analogy, it makes sense. Okay, that's good. Yeah, I have played some solo Lethal Company and it's still pretty fun. But the most fun I had with the game was when I played it with 3 other people. I still haven't uploaded the video of that because I still haven't edited the video of that. Because like I mentioned, I can't use my model during the stuff, so to properly make a video with me playing it, I have to in some way edit in something that just represents me somewhere to make it more interesting or something. Whoop. I actually thought I was gonna be more tired than this by the time I reached the hour-and-a-half mark, but we're almost at the hour-and-a-half mark and my arm is not yet as dead as I expected. Actually, that's about the only way to have any real fun with some of these games, to be honest. That's true. It was also a thing with Among Us where you sorta just... You can play it, but if you don't have any actual friends or people you are talking to in a Discord voice call or whatever, it's just not as fun. Like, I've played some rounds of Among Us with random people back in the day because I didn't really have many friends to play it with, and it just wasn't that fun. It was like, okay, you play it, moving on to the next game, moving on, moving on. It's just not really anyone you're sticking around with, not anyone you have any personal connection to or can laugh with about stuff or whatever. It's just these random people, and whether you get someone that's fun to play with or not is completely unknown. Because sometimes you get this person that just is incredibly toxic, and sometimes you get someone that takes everything way too seriously, and then no one can just have fun about it. So playing with random people just doesn't work as well. Fly. The Wall of Arm Death. I must say, I have definitely improved at climbing the Wall of Arm Death. How am I only now for the first time noticing that crowbar and tack, I guess? I can't tell what that is, but how am I only now for the first time noticing those there that are seemingly clipping through the boards? I did see a video that was talking about how video games have gotten lonelier over the years, and that's seeming kinda true now. It kind of has, yeah. I feel like I might have seen something about that in my feed recently, actually. I didn't watch it, but I saw that it was there. Please don't let me fall, thank you. Alright, moving on. There actually has been at least one thing so far that I have done streaming with where I did get somewhat infuriated. So while with this game I'm pretty chill, there has been one instance where a game got me pretty mad. Or infuriated, or whatever you want to call it. And it wasn't the game in general, it was just one specific thing in it that got me not so good. It was Hollow Knight. Overall, I really enjoyed Hollow Knight, and the White Palace was awesome, to be honest. But when I got to the whole Trials area thing, I can't remember exactly what it's called, the Colosseum. There's the Trial of the Fool, and that just felt so messed up and unfair. I got so annoyed by it. So then I'd go back, and it's one of the only things that I've actually rage quitted in probably years. I think there are at least 3 separate streams where I took it on, and one where I finally succeeded and gave and then decided that I am satisfied. Like there's legit one stream that's dedicated to just that, where I finished it. It was right before I started the streaming break because I just thought I don't want to leave that of all things unfinished before I take a break. Those games are usually pretty hard to begin with. You get a lot of speedruns and insane challenges with those games. Now that's true. In general, the beginning of the game was pretty easy. But some of the bosses were somewhat challenging and took a few tries, but generally not really infuriating or frustrating to deal with. The Trial of the Fool, however, that annoyed me a lot.
No. No.
Now I think about it, there are some dream bosses that I never finished. Like, I went there, fought them a few times, and I was like, I'll come back later, and I never did. But yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna do everything there is to do in Hollow Knight. Whoa. Whoa, no. Okay. Ooh. Well, back down here. I feel like that time it wasn't entirely my fault, but it is what it is. It's fair though. Because I can imagine that many casuals aren't sticking to that game for too long. Yeah. I consider myself to be very casual when it comes to gaming, but at the same time, I play things like Souls-like and such, and generally try to finish them. When I can, of course. I don't always finish every Souls-like I play, because the majority of ones I've played have not been on my own console or system, so it's not something I could play at my own leisure and finish through that. The only Souls game I've finished, I think Hollow Knight does technically also count as a Souls game, depending on who you ask. But other than that, the only one that a lot of people know about that I finished is Code Vein. Which I finished, I did all of the DLC bosses. And I have yet to finish any of the other playthroughs, but I do wanna. Oh, well, that was not what I wanted to do. I mean, these days everyone hates the competitive scene. You see everyone trying to play as casual as possible now. I just haven't really liked competitive games for the entirety of my life. Like, I'd play some fighting games against my brother, but then it's fun. Competitive games just... I'm not really the biggest fan, because the players you play against, some are just really sweaty about it, some are really toxic about it. It's just... I like playing a game to have fun. And when you get overly competitive about it, it's just not fun anymore. Yeah, Code Vein is a Souls-esque game with a more anime style. And the characters you play as are essentially vampires. They're called revenants and they have to drink blood to sustain themselves and such. Oh, well, somehow I'm managing to do the opposite of making my way up. It does take a lot of work to get into and sometimes research. Then you have to follow the meta. Most people don't like dealing with the toxic players. You have to deal pay to win too. ETC, yeah. Now, there are a lot of reasons why I don't like general competitive gaming. Like, I would maybe sometimes do a speed run of a game, but it's just for fun then. It's not like I do it to reach the top of the leaderboards, because I know even if I do, it's gonna be like a month and then the next person has beat that record again. Not even a month, generally. So it's like, I don't really see any point in going for the best records and whatnot, because, you know, what's it really gonna matter in the end? Someone else is gonna beat it, and you can either stay on the grind and try to beat everyone else forever, or you can just move on to the next thing and have fun with that. I'd rather not sit on the same... Like, I enjoy sitting on a game for a long time, but sitting on the same game pretty much forever just to make sure you're always the best at it, that's not something that really appeals to me. Now, the problem with games now, they aren't really made for gamers per se anymore. They're just meant for whales who spend a lot of time, and companies are capitalizing on that now. That's why games are kind of lame now, and you get a lot of the mobile stuff getting really popular. I play a lot of the mobile stuff, but generally not so much for the gacha system. Like, I enjoy a lot of those games more without it, but they do at least offer content for a really long time. And they are free to play if you don't need to have every character or something. But I also don't play a lot of them. I mostly play the ones made by MiHoYo and some by Kuro Games. In terms of the ones made by MiHoYo, though, I got into that when I was still pretty much only on my phone for games, because my laptop could barely run anything. So I had to rely solely on phone games, and then Honkai Impact came out, and it was the phone game that was the most like an actual game rather than being something where you just constantly swipe the screen left and right to move your character sideways, or just hit auto and then the game plays itself. And if you don't hit auto, then the only input you really have is using your character's skills, which just isn't that fun. Like, okay, you make this team, they're gonna all automatically attack at all times, and then it's up to you to just use the skills when they're available. Those games are sort of like, they're there, and they serve their purpose, but they're not really fun to play. And then Honkai Impact came around, and I actually had fun playing it at the time. so I stuck around with it, and then later the announcement of Genshin Impact arrived, and it took a while for it to actually get traction, but at release it was hyped all over the place. But before that, I had interest purely because it was made by the same people who make Honkai Impact. And now we have Honkai Star Rail as well, which neither of Genshin or Honkai Star Rail do I like as much as Honkai Impact, but I will say that Star Rail probably has the most likely chance of competing, which is ironic because it's a turn-based game and I generally don't like turn-based combat. But I mean, unlike Pokemon, it definitely keeps it more interesting, at least in my opinion. Like I mentioned earlier, with Pokemon battles, I literally fall asleep waiting for things to happen. I was just out to bring out the gacha stuff, and yeah, you are right. The gacha games are pretty dang good, but the gacha itself just ruins it. Yeah. I hate autoplay stuff. Glad you had fun playing it, to be honest. Yeah, because I even thought about playing Genshin myself, but I realized that you had to play it on a certain launcher to even think about trying it out. And it sucks that I haven't put it on Steam yet. Yeah, I think even if they did put it on Steam, you'd still need the Genshin launcher, because MiHoYo generally builds their games so that you need to download the game's launcher from their website, and then you just update and download it from the launcher again every time. So every game has its separate launcher, which you get from the website. The launcher is just there so that you can download and update the game at any time. A lot of live service things actually work that way now that I think about it. Even Warframe, you have it on Steam, sure, but Steam just launches the launcher and then the launcher updates the game and downloads the new content. So now that I think about it, the majority of such online games and MMOs and such all use their own launcher even if you download them through a different store. Well, yeah, so for live service games, I think the general thing is for them to have their own launcher, just because then you can always update it from its launcher, so there's never any problem with getting to that. Don't have to go to the store to update it, it's just in its own launcher. But those are also up for free, and on their own websites is generally where they start, so there's that. Unless you're playing on console, then there is no launcher, it's just the game. And then there are some games where the launcher is also the browser, so to speak, for the game. Or the store. So like with Blizzard games where they have battle.net or whatever that you have to download to update and play the games and such. I know they have uploaded some stuff to Steam, but that is a thing that I do remember being a thing. But live service games are even popular now. Most of those just eventually go down fairly soon. In terms of which ones are popular, I don't know what's popular to the general audience, but those games sort of maintain an audience to which they are popular. So games like Genshin and Star Rail both still have quite some popularity and are still being played by many and talked about by many. But you don't really see it if you're just on the internet, I think. Same thing with games like Warframe and Overwatch. Like, that's sort of the thing. A game launches, it's very hyped at that point, and then it sort of just goes to its own community after that point. So it's hyped for a bit, and then it just essentially opens its community where all the hype goes after that. So then the mainstream is no longer super focused on it, but the community itself has been established, and that community goes on to talk about it. Honkai Impact is also getting a bit more of a boost lately though, because they're starting a completely new story with a massive update, the Part 2 update, which, as much as I am interested and will play it, I'm definitely gonna miss the story of Part 1. Following the story of Kiana and such for so many years has been a thing for me. But the story has concluded, so you know. Not really much left to do with it at this point. So it makes sense that they're moving on to a different story. Wasn't there some drama surrounding Genshin not too long ago with some event? There's always drama surrounding Genshin. And usually it's about something like, oh, we didn't get 10 free pulls for this or that. Or this voice actor said something that we didn't like. Or this character is part of an aristocratic family. We don't like that. That's generally what Genshin drama is. With Genshin, it's almost like everyone is, or not everyone, but there is gonna be something that some of the player base is gonna complain about for every single update. It's just the way it is with Genshin for some reason. Yeah, of course it was. I know there's currently the thing about 3 years, 3 free wishes, which I find kind of funny. The fact that you knew that, you must know the game so well. I sort of hover around the communities and such, so I don't really interact, because personally I'm not too bothered about a lot of the things that the people tend to make the drama about. But I see the posts everywhere and I just go, why? Is it really necessary to complain about this? Is this really something that's that much of a problem? Can't you just play the game and have fun? Like, yeah, I don't get 10 free pulls, but I don't mind it really. It would be nice to get it, but I'm not owed freebies for doing nothing, you know? So if they give it to me, that's pretty nice. I like that. But I'm not gonna complain about not getting it. Unless it was outright promised and I don't get it. Even then, I'm probably not gonna complain about it much, I'm just gonna be upset about it. Yeah, the communities for a lot of games are just super bad. It's always something refreshing when you find a community for a game and the people are all, or generally pretty nice. There aren't a lot of complaining everywhere, isn't a lot of complaining everywhere. It's always sort of a thing where it's like, this is nice, but something about it just feels so weird in this modern age. It's really hard to find a community where everything is just nice. How did I swing that way? That's interesting. Little hammer hop. Yeah, generally with games, communities, it's not something that you'll find where it's like, yeah, everyone in the community is great and good to each other and they enjoy the game to the end. The funny thing is, a game's community is the people who hate it the most. But that's also partially because the people who are complaining about things are complaining about them all over the place, and then some people didn't even necessarily think about something or aren't really bothered about it, but then they join the complaining to join the hype train, which just doesn't really do anything in the end. It actually might not even be that the community as a whole is bad, but the bad apples get so much of the attention that they end up representing the community inadvertently. Yes, that's pretty much it. So in every community you can find some really cool and great stuff, but then it's like, okay, but the things that you see everywhere are people talking about how terrible the community is because of these specific people who just make trash about it everywhere. Well, that... I did not want to swing the hammer below me. That was unfortunate. But... that hammer just flung itself everywhere, and I thought it was supposed to be hooked into the umbrella. Sometimes the hammer confuses me. Okay. That I actually completely understand because I pushed myself away.
Oh.
Oddly enough, I don't see a lot of problems with the Star Rail community. Except for the constant fighting between Star Rail and Genshin about which is better. Which is kind of funny. I will say that with Genshin there were some really crazy individuals. I don't know if you heard about that one guy who almost tried to kill someone at the headquarters because of some bunny girl outfit. That actually, surprisingly enough, was not the Genshin community, despite what one would expect. That was the Honkai Impact 3rd. It was an anniversary special animation for the, I think, 3rd anniversary maybe of the global version of the game, where for the global version there was that trailer thingy, that dancing video with the characters in bunny suits, and then someone in the Chinese community was upset about it and went to assassinate the head, the CEO at the company, which is just so crazy. Like, yeah, you didn't get this as your anniversary thing, sure, but don't you think that's a bit much? Good, because I could have definitely sworn it was Genshin, but maybe I got my information wrong then. I might have to rewatch that video. The reason I can confirm that it was Honkai is because I've been on the Honkai boat for years, and I definitely don't know anything about a Genshin bunny thing. And I've also been within Genshin since launch. Since before launch, I actually participated in the 2 closed betas before Genshin's launch. Not all 3 of them, only closed beta 2 and 3. I missed out on the first one. But yeah, with Genshin I was on board before it launched, and there has never been a bunny thing. But that's mostly because of what happened with Honkai, probably. And just because it doesn't so much match the aesthetic. But yeah, I remember explicitly that it was Honkai because the Honkai community still brings it up every now and then, and I remember the characters in question. Speaking of Honkai though, I finally had some good gacha luck again recently. With getting the new Fuhua battlesuit in Honkai, which is just an amazing battlesuit. Like, I love the design, and I love the playstyle. And on top of all of that, it's Fuhua. I love the character herself a lot. She's one of my favorites in all of Honkai. I also got the weapon, so that's pretty cool. But you know what they say, you gotta buy that special outfit for your favorite wife or she'll get mad at you. Yeah, those outfits didn't even appear in the game. That's part of the crazy thing. It was literally just that happy anniversary trailer thing that existed, which was just a dance video, MMD sort of dance video with it. And then there was one stigmata added in the game, which is essentially... How would I explain this? It's just like an equipment item that you use to power up your characters. But there was only one with such an outfit, and that one was also censored after the whole thing went down. But that was the only thing that was actually in-game in regards to that. Oh boy. The dance video was really well done, I will say that. Generally, the MMD stuff from the MiHoYo side actually aren't all that bad. Like, I remember there was... I think that there was... I could be wrong about this, but from what I remember, there was, at some point, someone in the company who used to do a lot of MMD animations before. And then they'd still make some after joining the game company. Though I believe that the bunny suit one in particular was also an official collaboration with MMD stuff. But yeah, in terms of dancing with Genshin stuff, or MiHoYo stuff though, the recent Honkai Star Rail Update 2.0 trailer also had some MMD-esque dancing stuff going on, and that trailer is also just so cool and such a fun groove. Yeah. Unfortunately, I had to take it down because of the controversy. But all of that is also part of why HoYoverse now exists as the localization section for MiHoYo games. So from what I remember, HoYoverse was essentially established so that the MiHoYo games can still have some of that other sort of things that aren't necessarily allowed in China and such, without it being a problem, because now it's not in MiHoYo's hands anymore, it's the localizers who do things the way they do. The localization teams, which are now a separate branch and publisher with HoYoverse instead of MiHoYo. So, which is actually a clever way to approach it, like just make the global versions come from a separate entity, which are then allowed to do their own thing with it, instead of you having to suffer the consequences because of your country doesn't allow certain things. It's that and the Genshin outfit censorships, I believe, which sort of put the nail in the coffin. That's why the censored outfits are only optional in the global version of Genshin, instead of being the default and the only thing you have. I might end the stream a bit soon because I'm getting kind of tired.
Oh no.
Like my arm, sure, but also I am running out of talking. I feel it's getting harder and harder to keep speaking, oddly enough. But it's probably just because I've taken such a long break from streaming. Because like I mentioned, I probably talk a total of 2 hours in an entire day when I don't stream. And now I've been talking for almost 2 hours straight. So why were the Chinese players mad about the bunny girl dancing video? Content, from what I heard, wasn't even for them. Yeah, that's the big thing. They didn't get that. And I think that's part of what caused the big upset about it, because it's like, okay, they didn't get such a thing for their version's anniversary, and now the global version is getting that, which sort of causes outrage, but that sort of thing isn't allowed in China itself because of the laws there, so what do? We'll get back into the swing of things. Exactly. It's all about the swing of things and getting back into that. Soon. As it currently stands, I am not too far from done with the assets for the videos I'll be recording soon. And as for the videos I have to upload before I can start recording those, there are maybe 3 left, of which one is already edited. It's going up on Wednesday. And then the other one should also, the other 2 also shouldn't take very long to edit, but it's mostly the assets for the newly recorded things that are taking a while. So I'm leaving the videos for once every 5 days at the moment in terms of upload, just so that I can buy myself some extra time to finish the assets before we get to that point. That's why the videos come out one every 5 days, just so that I can give myself some extra time to work on everything and make it better. It's not the peak of what I can do, but you know, it's not bad. That much I can say. In terms of putting in the maximum amount of effort, that I feel is something I should leave for some other time or when I'm more efficient at it. You're still getting back into things, so all in good time, yeah. I definitely need to get back into things within the next 2 months. Because my first year anniversary is also coming up in 2 months. Hello FM, how are you doing today? I think it was on the 27th of April that my anniversary is. So I'm gonna mix my 100 subscriber celebration stream with my anniversary stream since we're getting that close already. I'm almost surprised you refer to him as crumbling. Interesting. Anyway. Whoa, 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 whoa. What are you doing there? Weird hammer. I sort of want to at least make it to phase 4 before I end today's stream. But at the same time, the longer I go, the more tired my arm gets, and that leads to me having a harder time to actually make it farther. Because of course, if your arm is more tired, you react more slowly and have a harder time with stuff. Just about everyone does lol. Either that or sanity, whichever one fits. I actually have yet to hear of anyone saying I'm done with the game because my arm is too tired. Or I am failing more because my arm is too tired. Like most of the time, you just see someone throw their arm around in rage or something. Or throw a chair, but I even had someone call me Hawks a few times because of my avatar. That's exactly why I said it's weird that he called you crumbling, because FM is someone who'd, at least at a time, call you by your name and your profile picture. So he'd either call you by your profile picture or by your name and your profile picture. He even had a long title for me at some point based on all the profile pictures I had. FM and I have known each other for a really long time at this point. More than 3 years by now. Nice. No, please. I'm so close. Whatever you do, don't fall. Phew. Okay. Actually, it could be 4 years. Yeah, it's 4 years by now. Over 4. Because we met before 2020. Weird. It's kind of weird. Online friendships sort of last a really long time sometimes. If you meet each other on Discord or whatever. There's someone I met in a game a few years ago, back in the days when I only played on my phone, in an MMORPG. It was called Irune Online. But there's someone I met there. This was maybe like 7 years ago. We still keep in touch to this day, even though neither of us play the game. There was a time when we didn't talk as much again, but somewhat recently we did start talking again. Not a lot because we're both pretty busy. The friend in question being a lot more busy than I am. But it is pretty nice. In terms of friends I meet in real life, there's one that I think is sort of my friend, but he's been pretty distant for a few years now. He doesn't really reach out as much anymore. We talk sometimes, we have hung out within the past year, but he's been pretty quiet for the past few years. And then there's the other friend, which I still hang out with. The one that I still talk to almost daily, I met how many years ago by now? 13 maybe? Could be 13. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's about 13 years ago at this point that I met the one friend, and the other one would then be about 17 years, I think. 17 or 16. Yeah, the MMO person I didn't know in real life. And FM also not. Generally, nobody I meet online is someone I'd be able to see daily. Because most of them live in completely different countries. Even you. I'm pretty sure you're probably in the US or from the US, considering that you speak in dollars. Either that or you do what I do and just generally convert to dollars when talking about things for the sake of just streamlining the conversation. Because people are more likely to understand dollars than what other currency you have. Yeah, that is one thing that'll get you, is either them being busy, or if you don't have a good way to stay in contact, you lose touch. Yeah. So what I'm thinking is either if I make it to the start of phase 5, or if I fall down these stairs again, I will end stream, whichever one happens. I just want to try to make it past phase 4 before ending the stream. Yeah, and I do live in different time zones. Like, it's morning here, and I'm betting it's nighttime over there, I assume anyway. It's currently 20 past 4 p.m. So currently 4 p.m. It's not nighttime yet, but it's approaching. Whoa, calm down. Like FM said, good afternoon. FM and I are close to the same time zone. Generally, people would somewhat often mistake me for an American based on my accent. But it is not the case. Please do not send me back down the stairs. And this is just a way that is just the way that I sometimes talk. I don't know why, but sometimes my voice would switch to that weird. Why can't I do it on command? That's also actually weird. But yeah, sometimes in certain moments my voice switches to that weird voice. But yeah, generally this is my accent, and some people believe that I'm American because of it. Meanwhile, the only reason for it is because I don't speak with the native accent, so to speak. Mainly because I picked up English from watching TV and mostly American movies and playing American video games and such. Almost done. I'll be right back soon. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. The stream might end before you return, but good luck, Phobia. I'm curious why they would bring it up, though. He's actually going to end the stream soon because of his arm, yeah. Well, partially because of my arm. My arm can actually probably still go for a while. But the thing is, I don't want to push it too much, because if I overdo it now, then it's going to be a problem for a few days, which means I'll be able to stream even less for a longer time again. So it's better to do this, like, let's say you stream it 2 days in a row, each for 2 hours. That's better than doing 4 consecutive hours. So I sort of want to keep these short as to not overdo it. I was actually thinking today's stream was going to be an hour and a half, but here we are. Time flies sometimes. Yeah, in terms of why did it bring up my accent, it would either be because they're wondering where I'm from, because my time zone confuses them, because that's just not America at all in terms of time zone, or because I at some point mentioned that I am not from America and they are confused because they thought I was based on the accent. And sometimes I'd outright ask where they think I'm from. Ah, lovely. Made it back to phase 5. Beautiful. That's a good place to end it. And by a good place to end it, I mean an absolutely terrible place, because next time I start, I'm gonna fall off, because I'm gonna have to get back into the swing of things first. But it's all good. I'm sorry if me hitting the glass on the table is a bit loud. I sort of hear it a lot when I watch streams afterwards or watch the recordings, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm smacking it down too hard. That is pretty loud. I should probably stop. But yeah, that's it for today then, I think. I feel like ending on a victory is a pretty nice thing. Had fun hanging out, man. Was a blast. Glad you enjoyed it. Wasn't too loud for you. Okay, that's good. You can keep in touch by joining the Discord. It is the pinned comment at the moment, the pinned chat message. So you can join the Discord and keep in touch there if you wanna. But that's it for today's stream. Yeah, take care. Hope you all enjoyed. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Hope you rest peacefully tonight. If you enjoy the video, the stream, feel free to like and subscribe. I really appreciate that. There are other things I could say, but it's like, yeah, you could donate, but it's not that important. You don't have to. But yeah, have a nice day. Rest peacefully tonight. Hope you wake up strong tomorrow, ready to face your day. It's the beginning of a new week, about like tomorrow is Monday, so you know, beginning of the new week. Good luck with that. Strong week ahead of you. Stay strong throughout the week. and goodbye.